Surface tension is an important property. Before starting the surface tension, we should know two things. That is, one cohesive force and one is adhesive force. I think you people are well aware of these two forces. Cohesive force means the attraction force between two same molecules. Okay, attraction force between two same molecule. That means same molecules means for a same material actually you are talking about. If it is a water, then between two consecutive molecule, what is the amount of attraction force? That is cohesive force for the same material. And if we go for the adhesive force, then it is also attraction force but for a different material. Attraction force for different molecules. Different molecules means obviously these molecules deals with different material. Like suppose you have stored some water inside a glass. The glass is made of glass or it can be a steel glass. So the surface attraction force between steel and water molecules, that is the adhesive force. Understood? So this cohesive force and this adhesive force, any point of time if anyone feels any complication or any confusion, then please speak out, otherwise I won't understand. So cohesive force and adhesive force, both of them are attraction force, and here in case of surface tension it is very important to understand the cohesive force, because surface tension actually responsible cohesive force is responsible for surface tension. I will write it in short form ST. So cohesive force is the dominating thing here in case of surface tension. Take the phone in landscape mode and then check. Take the phone in landscape mode and then tell me. Now it is visible. Thank you. So the cohesive force is responsible for surface tension. So now we are going to describe what is that. Like I am giving you a simple diagram like this. Suppose this is the top surface of water. Any water body you can consider, or any liquid you can also consider. Generally we take as an example like water, because water is a fluid which is very easily available for us. That's why we take water as an example. Okay. So first draw this thing, then I will explain. This is the liquid part, and above that is air part. Okay. So that is this line actually interface. Interface means interfacing between two different fluid. Top one is a gaseous and the bottom one is a liquid. So it is the interface, that is the contact surface. Okay. Make this drawing. This interface is nothing but the separation surface. Separation surface. Okay. Suppose this is the molecule A and this is the molecule B. These are the molecules. Both of this sphere is basically, we are considering the center of the sphere, there is a molecule, and here also center of the sphere there is a molecule. That molecule is named as B molecule, that molecule is named as A molecule, and this sphere is known as sphere actually known as sphere of influence. S-P-H-E-R-E, sphere of influence. What does this mean? Now I'm coming to the topic. These spheres. The molecule, whatever resting at the bottom part of this liquid, they all are having cohesive force among themselves. So every molecule in this particular liquid region, all the molecules, they are attracting others. So obviously each and every molecule surrounding it, suppose this is a molecule, surrounding it a region is there where that cohesive force is actually dominating. Along this spherical area, this molecule will attract neighboring molecules. That is the cohesive force. That's why obviously that molecule cannot propagate this attraction force surrounding a big area, because there is a influencing area. That's why this spherical area basically representing, that is the spherical area in which that attraction force, or the cohesive force, is actually dominating. Obviously out of this sphere, a molecule having very lesser amount of attraction with this molecule. Just like the field, we are knowing about the field, that is a magnetic field or electrostatic field. There is also a field area. So this is such kind of thing, that this sphere is representing a influencing area where that molecular attraction between two molecules actually acts. Understood? Now coming to this interface region, here a molecule, suppose this A molecule slowly going up and resting to this interface. Now you can see the top part is here, so that sphere of influence is getting halved actually. Bottom part of the sphere is existing, but the top part is missing because there is no liquid. And that same thing I have picturized over here also. The molecule is resting over here at the interface. Okay, and these arrows actually representing that cohesive attraction force towards the bottom actually, as well as to the neighboring molecules. Obviously here is also a molecule, so lots of molecules there also in the surface. So with the surface there is this arrow and that arrow representing the molecules on the surface, and these arrows representing the attraction force direction to the bottom of the liquid or to the downward direction. Okay, so here I am representing that each and every molecule is attracted by the neighboring molecules. Understood? And obviously while you can see the molecule is rising up at the top, here the attraction force is getting less with the neighboring molecules, because at the top part here is no cohesive force because water molecule is not present there. So they are feeling a downward force. This molecule which is resting at the interface, he is having a feeling of an attraction force in the downward direction but not in the upward direction. That's why we can say the force of attraction is less at the upper side comparing with the lower side. If the molecule is resting at the lower side, he is having all the sides, it is having lots of molecule surrounding it, so it is having lots of cohesive force acting on it. But why it is moving on the top surface or rather the interface, then he is missing the top part of the attraction force. He is only having a feeling of attraction force from the downward portion. That I am trying to tell you. Understood? Now if I write all these things in a brief form, so it will be whatever I am saying now, that if I write in a small gesture, so it will be look like this. First I should put some definition like thing like surface tension, how we can define. It is the cohesive force. It is the cohesive force or force of cohesion, both the thing you can use, which allow the substance behave like assembled Due to this cohesive force, the substance is behaving like a assembled particles, like they are assembled together, they are having a attraction among the molecules. That I am going to clarify later. Slowly it will be more easy for you, I think. It also can be expressed like molecular, or rather say molecules. The molecule near the surface, that means this molecule or that molecule near the surface, feels a net inward force, because they are having only the cohesive force inward direction. So the molecule near the surface feels a net inward force, and it is strong, quite strong, because we know that adhesive force के comparison में cohesive force is much more stronger. So the molecule which is resting at the top surface, he is having a adhesive force with air particles or air molecules. But we know that cohesive force is more strong, because that is the attraction force between two same molecules. So that's why the inward force is more stronger than the outward force, isn't it? Just due to that cohesion force more strong than the adhesion force. Okay. So the molecule near the surface feels a net inward force which is strong rather than outward force. बाहर की तरफ जो फोर्स काम कर रहा है उसके कंपैरिजन में जो नीचे की फोर्स है वो ज़्यादा पावरफुल है, स्ट्रॉन्ग है. तो हर एक मॉलिक्यूल जो ऊपर की सतह में बिलोंग कर रहा है, हर एक मॉलिक्यूल इज बेसिकली पुल्ड इन द डाउनवर्ड डायरेक्शन, बट दे will try to remain at the top surface. That's why your tension will be created. I'm coming back again. That is the reason why the tension will be created. Okay. Then the third noteworthy point, I am erasing this part. I need some space. So third part I can write for it that when the molecule comes at the interface, then okay, before of that I should mention one more point, because before going to that point, the molecule moving bottom to top. That means while the molecule is moving from bottom to top, नीचे से ऊपर की तरफ जा रहा है, that means what does this mean? नीचे से ऊपर की तरफ जा रहा है, that means what? That means the inward force gradually down, gradually less, because it is moving bottom to top. If this molecule is moving bottom to top, obviously the inward force की comparison में, inward force मतलब नीचे की direction में जो force काम कर रहा है उसके corresponding the upward force is more. That's why it is moving up, isn't it? So the force that means the inward force gradually less and less, धीरे धीरे कम होते जा रहा है, less and less. How it can be done? Because we have already stated that inward force, that means the cohesive force is strong, still the molecule is moving upward. How it can be done? It can be done if you supply some energy from outside. If you add some energy from outside, if you do some work on that particular molecule, then that molecule can move from bottom to top. Otherwise it will not actually interested to move top or moving to the top surface. So the molecule should be, not the mole, the molecule moving bottom to top, that means the inward force gradually less and less. So that way we have to supply, we have to do some work, or we have to supply some work which जो वर्क हम मॉलिक्यूल के ऊपर करेंगे, by which molecules move from bottom to top, move from bottom to top. What I am trying to explain here, already I have explained that the cohesive force is more strong, so they pulling or attracting both the all the molecules surrounding it. But while the molecule is moving at the interface, then must be there some external energy supplied to it, by which that molecule is going to move upward. That's why I have written here. So we have to supply some work to that particular molecule, by which it will move from bottom to top. It can be a heat energy. It can be a form of energy, that is heat. If you supply it, then that molecule will move to the top. Okay. So when that molecule having that work done on it, it is moving from slowly at the interface region. Then what happens? Already I have done some work on the molecule. So that molecule is, due to that work done, it is moving to the top. So the work you have done onto it, that work is being stored in that molecule, isn't it? Because you have done some work from out external part, so that work done will be stored in the molecules while it is moving from bottom to top. Some amount work will be expensed, but rest of the work done will be stored in the molecule while it is reaching to the interface region. That's why I will conclude one point here after this. When the molecule comes at the interface, after having that work done, comes at the interface, then the work done means the energy, then the work done supplied to it will be stored. Rest of the energy will be stored inside the molecule, because some amount of energy will be expensed, but some rest of the energy will be stored inside the molecule. That energy, whatever still it is stored in the molecule while it is at the interface region, some amount of energy is getting stored. When the molecule is at interface. Why? Because you have done some work done on it. Understood? And that energy, whatever it is stored, that energy is known as surface energy. Why it is known as surface energy? Because the molecule is at the surface or at the interface, then the energy stored in that molecule is known as surface energy, because the molecule is at surface. That's why it is known as surface energy. So if anybody asks you that what is the surface energy of a fluid element, then you have to say that while the molecule from the bottom it is moving to the top or moving at the separation surface or interface region, then some amount of energy will be stored in that particular molecule. That energy is known as surface energy. Understood? So while the molecule is resting at the top interface, it is still having some energy with it. Okay, so this energy, if there is some energy, obviously there is some force. Without having some force, you cannot have some amount of energy, because we all know that energy is nothing but the work done, and work done is always be produced if some force is being applied over there and some displacement is there. So displacement is being occurred, and obviously if there is some surface energy, then there must be some amount of force at the interface region. Understood? And that force is basically a kind of tensile force. Like if I take a linear element, suppose this is a linear element at the interface region, I am assuming this is a linear fluid element. Linear means a kind of straight line. Linear element of fluid at interface. That means at the interface I am taking a linear element and projecting over here with the exaggerated view, like a zoom view. So it will be look like this. Okay, so in this particular case it is filled, basically this top interface filled like a stretched membrane. मतलब दोनों साइड से जैसे एक टेंसाइल फोर्स एक्ट हो रहा है, दोनों साइड से एक टेंसाइल फोर्स एक्ट हो रहा है, जो इधर और इधर मैंने दिखाया। हर एक मॉलिक्यूल्स के बीच ऐसा एक मेम्ब्रेन की तरह फील करेगा, नेबरिंग मॉलिक्यूल्स के साथ ऐसा एक टेंसाइल फोर्स की तरह खिंचाव फील करेगा। If you place this linear element like this way, vertical element suppose that I have placed the linear element like in vertical direction, then here all the sides, both the sides, they are having a feeling of tensile force, they are acting on it. So they are filled like a stretched membrane. This term actually very frequently used in terms of surface tension explanation. Stretched membrane. This top surface will fill kind of khichao from both the sides. Why it is happening? Because some energy is there. That's why. If energy is there, then there must be some amount of force, and that force is known as surface tension force. And if I consider this fluid element length is considered if we by L, then that surface tension coefficient can be expressed by this kind of expression. Now I am going to enter into mathematical part. These are whatever I have described now, that is the theoretical part, that is very belongs to the physics actually, but engineers to some extent they go through the physics, but we are not at all going to jump into the physics topic. Basically surface tension more elaborated, clarified or described in the subject of physics. Now we are going to enter into the engineering part. Now how we can find out that surface tension force, that is the part of engineers. Okay, so if the tensile force is acting on that particular fluid element, it is F, and if you know the fluid element length by L, then surface tension coefficient, which is generally expressed by a Greek letter sigma, it is expressed by F by L. That is the expression what we have to know. That L is the length of the fluid element and F is the amount of tensile force acting on that particular fluid element, and sigma is the surface tension coefficient. Obviously the surface tension coefficient will be different for different substances are in contact. अभी तो ये समझ में आया ही गया होगा कि surface tension only will comes into picture while two different fluid comes into contact, like air and liquid. It can be air with water, it can be air with any oil, however it is. It can be two different immiscible liquid also. That means surface tension only, basically it is not a property of a single fluid. Suppose if we say what is the surface tension of water, it is a meaningless thing. You have to express surface tension of water contact with air, then it is right. If anybody asks you what is the density of water, you can easily say 1000 kg per meter cube in SI unit. But if anybody asks you that what is the surface tension of water, it's the completely meaningless question, because water, if it is in contact with air, surface tension will be produced. If water is contact with another water, there is no surface tension. So that's why surface tension is a property of fluid, while two different fluid comes into contact with each other, and that surface tension coefficient obviously will vary with that two different liquid or two different fluid. If I give you some value, that sigma value, while water is coming in contact with air, it will be 0.073. Obviously you can see from here the unit, force unit will be Newton and length unit is meter. So obviously it will be Newton per meter, isn't it? So that is the value of surface tension while the water comes with air. So this surface tension coefficient, if we put over here, and if you consider some amount of fluid element length over here, then you can get the value of surface tension force from this expression. Understood? So from here few points should be more discussed over, like sigma always, whatever I told I should write over here now. Sigma always appear when two different fluid produce a interface region. Interface region means they should come into contact, otherwise no surface tension. Okay, if there is no interface, then there is no surface tension, mind it. Like liquid gas interface, it can be liquid, they must be immeasurable. Then also interface. Okay, so that kind of interface must be there by which this surface tension can be observed. Understood? Up to this, if anybody having any problem, then please tell me. If we go for the unit for the surface tension coefficient, it will be Newton per meter. From there you can also find out the dimensional term, that means in terms of mLT. You can express this unit also in kind of dimensional form. And if you go for the SI unit, it will be kgf per meter. In case of SI unit, MKS unit, it will be kgf per meter. Because if we convert that Newton, it is in SI form. It is in MKS, it will be kgf. So kgf per meter, it is in MKS unit. It is not very used, but Newton per meter in SI unit, it will be very frequently used. Now we have to see that how we can go for this application part of surface tension. Okay, so application part, this surface tension is very popularly or widely used for measuring the surface tension for three different cases. First, going for the liquid droplet, surface tension in short form S dot T for liquid droplet. Liquid droplet मतलब पानी के एक बूंद. Raindrop you can consider. Raindrop, it is a example of liquid droplet. It is fill of liquid actually. There is no khali part. Understood? Like if we vertically cut a liquid droplet, so it will be look like this. See, I am not very good in drawing, so I just want to cut vertically a sphere. Basically the liquid droplet is a shape of sphere. Now I have cut a cross section, vertical cross section of a liquid droplet. It is a cross section of a liquid droplet. Understood? So I have already stated the surface tension always act in the surface, not inside the liquid, only on the surface. That means only on the interface. Okay, so here if we cut that liquid droplet or the sphere, the surface tension, it will act like, I can use a red pen over here. Here it will act the surface tension in this surface, like this way, isn't it? I think you are getting me. If we make a bigger picture like this, so the surface tension is acting in this surface part, like here. Are you getting me or not? Not in the inside. because it is a surface phenomenon, because it will act on the surface only, because at the interface it will act. And these are the black arrows, they are the basically surface tension act. And if we say the atmospheric pressure will act here, here, here. These bigger arrows, they are representing the ATM pressure. Understood? Just think that, visualize the thing. Outside the sphere or liquid droplet, there is atmospheric pressure always acting. So if you cut it from the vertical section, so at this inside zone there will be acting atmospheric pressure, and at the periphery surface tension will be there, isn't it? Tell me if there is any problem, then I can clarify it more better. Understood or not? That is the atmospheric pressure, that is PATM, and that is the surface tension. I can name it by sigma, because surface tension coefficient I have already explained by sigma. Why we are doing this? Because we are going to find out the amount of pressure is acting on this particular liquid droplet in terms of surface tension. That is our objective. We are going to express that P in terms of sigma. That is the objective over here. So how you can do? Very easily, that what amount of surface tension acting on this liquid droplet you have already seen. So if I try to find the tensile force, because the surface tension is basically created due to the tensile force, already we have stated this thing. So if I find that tensile force acting due to surface tension around the circumference, isn't it? Because इसके circumference के ऊपर ही ये काम करेगा. Tensile force acting on the raindrop actually, the liquid droplet, due to the surface tension around the circumference. How much it will be? It will be sigma multiplied with the circumference. Why it is so? Because I have stated that sigma is nothing but tensile force divided by the length of the fluid element. So if you want to find out that F value, that is the tensile force, this is the actually tensile force, isn't it? So if you try to find out this tensile force, that will be sigma into L. Sigma is here, and L means length of the fluid element. What will be the length of this particular fluid element? This fluid element. This is the shape of a circle. Just cut it and stretch it. So it will give you a length which is a circumference. If we consider, suppose the diameter of this fluid element, if we consider this diameter of the fluid element is D, let D is the diameter of liquid droplet. If we consider that diameter of the liquid droplet is small d, then this is the circumference, isn't it? It is a circle. Cut it from here and just stretch it. It will give you the linear length. How much it is? Pi into d. And if we consider by r, then 2 pi r. Childhood formula. Understood or not? Any response? Thank you. So put the thing over there, then it will be sigma into pi into d. Now go for this is the tensile force. Now go for the pressure force. Pressure force means the force which is actually responsible for creating the pressure. Which pressure? The atmospheric pressure. It is acting on that liquid droplet, and that pressure is acting at this inside area, isn't it? If it is the liquid droplet, then inside of that pressure is acting, not on the circumference, mind it, inside. So on which area this is acting? That is the circular area, like this area. What is that? Pi by 4 d square, circular area, isn't it? So pressure force acting on that particular liquid droplet will be atmospheric pressure multiplied with pi by 4 d square, if the d is the diameter of the sphere or liquid droplet. Now while the system is in equilibrium, obviously we should consider the equilibrium state. The liquid droplet is in equilibrium state. If it is not in equilibrium, then it will be getting bursted. Otherwise it will be getting bursted or it will be getting expanded. If both of them is not occurring, not bursting, not expanding, that means we can consider that is in equilibrium. If the state is in equilibrium, then we can consider this pressure force and the surface tension force, they will be equal with each other. Obviously some equilibrium should be maintained. At equilibrium, I should mention over here, at equilibrium, this sigma into pi d will be equal with P into pi by 4 into d square. So if you simplify it, it will give you that P equals to 4 sigma by d. So P equals to 4 sigma pi d, that is the pressure which is acting on the liquid. It may be atmospheric pressure, it may be more than atmospheric pressure, or it may be less than atmospheric pressure. If we consider the liquid droplet is resting at the open atmosphere, then only atmospheric pressure will be acting there. But mind it, if we creating some different ambience to that particular liquid droplet, some more pressure or some less pressure than the atmospheric pressure, that can be measured by like this expression. So the pressure which is acting on the liquid droplet, it is equal with 4 sigma by d. So from this expression you can find any one of them. If sigma and d is given, you can find the value of P, and if the P is given and d is given, then you can find the sigma also from there. So that way that expression is built to find out pressure or surface tension coefficient. Understood? Anyone? Thank you. Basically I do not have any idea that are you people, yes. I will give you the video. That point of time you can copy from there. Okay. Okay. So now coming to the liquid droplet from hollow bubble. Hollow bubble means that bubble you generally prepare or produce with the help of soap solution. बच्चे लोग मेले पे जाके हर मेरे बेटी भी खरीदती है वो जो सोप बबल का जो खिलौना होता है, यूजिंग दैट सोप सॉल्यूशन, dipping that thing, a ring, and blow some air and creating a hollow bubble. I think you people also have done the same thing in your childhood, or maybe you are still doing the same thing when you are going to a mela. So we are going to find out the surface tension for that kind of hollow bubble. Hollow bubble is, if we do the same thing like this, this is a vertical cross section of a hollow bubble. The difference between liquid droplet and hollow bubble is that liquid droplet inside it is completely filled by liquid. Okay, so the pressure at the from the outside and from the inside, from inside that is the liquid pressure, from outside that is the atmospheric pressure or ambient pressure. But in case of hollow bubble, inside is also gas, it may be air, and outside is also air, but the difference of pressure obviously will be there. From outside some pressure is acting on it, and from inside there is also a pressure. Okay, so obviously if the inside pressure is more than the outside pressure, then the volume of the bubble will be getting expanded, and if the outside pressure is more than the inside pressure, then it will squeeze the bubble. So if the equilibrium is maintained, we are considering only the equilibrium part. That point of time the outside and the inside pressure, they will be balanced each other, otherwise it is not going to sustain, it will be collapsed. Here also that part the pressure is acting, and this circumference part is sigma is acting, the same thing. Okay, but here you can see the surface tension will act at two surface, that means both the surface. from the outside and from the inside. I cannot show you the inside part, it is a 2D plane, I cannot show you. Are you getting me? Suppose it is a hollow bubble, so outside there is a contact with air and liquid, it is a air. So here air के साथ लिक्विड का एक इंटरफेस बन रहा है बाहर से, अंदर से भी एक इंटरफेस बन रहा है, अंदर भी तो गैस है, isn't it? अंदर गैस है और ये लिक्विड है, तो अंदर से एंड बाहर से टू इंटरफेसेस आर देयर. So in case of hollow bubble, that is a different actually. Two interface region is there. Are you getting me? अगर किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो बोलो. Because अंदर गैस है और बाहर भी गैस है. In between that, a liquid film is there. Bubble is nothing but a film. So that's why it is having two surface tension will be encountered over here. Rest of the things are very same. At equilibrium condition, pressure force P into pi by 4 into d square. If we neglect the thickness of the bubble, then that formula will be valid, because the film thickness will be very small. That's why I can ignore the thickness of the film. That will be equal with sigma into pi d, just like the liquid droplet, but here 2 will be coming over here. That 2 is representing that 2 interface region that is coming for this part, because both the surface having some surface tension. Rest of the things are very same. Now build the same kind of relation. If you do the simplification, it will give you an expression like P equals to 8 sigma by d. Mind it is valid only at equilibrium state. Okay, so this P actually, if there is a differential pressure, suppose inside pressure and outside pressure both are given, then that P is standing for the net pressure. Understood? Obviously, before of that, in case of liquid droplet, the same thing, that P will be net pressure. If two different pressure are mentioned, the outside pressure and the inside pressure, then that P is standing for the net pressure, obviously. So this is the expression which is valid for a hollow bubble. Understood? If anybody trying to copy and if he or she missed, then it will be helpful if I post the video. From there you can copy it. Okay. So surface tension for now a liquid jet. Liquid jet means एक पाइप से निकला हुआ जो जेट, पानी का जेट, पानी दे रहे हो गार्डन होस से, गार्डन में पानी दे रहे हो, जो जेट निकल रहा है, it is basically a shape of a cylinder, isn't it? It is a shape of a cylinder. If we take the length of that particular cylinder is L, and if you cut it vertically, so how it looks? I am trying to draw a vertical cross section. How it is looking? I think it will be clear if I draw like this. It will look like this. It is a vertical cross section of a solid cylinder. Obviously liquid jet is a solid cylinder filled with water. If we cut it vertically, it is look like this. Here the surface tension, obviously same thing, it is filled with water, so only one surface encounter the surface tension, like this surface. This surface will feel the surface tension. Here also, isn't it? And the pressure, obviously pressure will be acting at the innermost part here. Here is the pressure acting, that black arrow. Inside. Just I have cut that solid liquid filled cylinder vertically. So it will look like this. Considering the liquid jet dia, I am considering it like small d, like this here. That is a small d. And the length by L. Length already I have explained, so don't have to mention over here. Now same thing will be carried on, like consider the equilibrium status. Then similarly at equilibrium the pressure force comes into action first. So pressure force means pressure into area. Do you know what is pressure force? Pressure force in easy words, pressure we know that is applied force to the area acting on it. So that force which randomly say that is the pressure force, because that due to that force some pressure has been created. That's why that force whatever you find out by pressure multiplied with area, that force we are talking about like pressure force, nothing else. So always if we say pressure force, then we have to multiply two things, pressure with area on which the pressure is acting. The pressure is acting on this particular inside area, isn't it? The pressure is acting on this particular inside area. So this is the amount of pressure, that P, and the area, how much it will be? See, this part is D, isn't it? Small d. I have cut it vertically, so that value is D, and this part is L. You can see this part is L. So it is a kind of rectangular part. Always if you cut a vertical solid cylinder vertically, the surface it will look like a cylinder, is rectangle, vertical rectangle, this one. So the surface will be L into D, this area. I am multiplying this pressure with area, cross multiplying. There you can get the force. Which force? That is the pressure force. So that is the pressure force. L into D is coming due to this particular section on which the pressure is acting, and that will be equate with surface tension force. So surface tension is explained by sigma equals to F into L. If we cross multiply with sigma into L, then it will give you the force, and that force is known as surface tension force. So sigma will be multiplied with the length of element on which the surface tension is acting. So here also L and here also L. So it will be L plus L, that is 12, because this part is L and that part is also L, and here only the surface tension acting. Okay, so that way if you simplify it, what it will give you, that P is nothing but 2 sigma by L. 2 sigma by D, because it will give you sigma into 2L. So L will be cancelled with each other. So P equals to 2 sigma by D, right? This expression will come. So that expression is valid only for liquid jet, and before of that I have shown you that what are the expression for a hollow bubble as well as for a solid bubble. Solid bubble means a liquid droplet. Again I am repeating the same thing. This pressure is nothing but the net pressure acting on that particular liquid jet. If anybody gives you two different pressure from inside and from outside, then you have to consider that P like net pressure, mind it. Up to this, if you have any kind of problem, then tell me. L plus L means this is the cross section. If I make that drawing one time again, basically I have to draw a 3D drawing, trying to build it up. This kind of cross section will give you. If you cut this cylinder from vertically, a sharp knife will help you to cut that vertical cylinder vertically. So it will give you this kind of shape, isn't it? Now surface tension will act on the surface only. Surface means it will be, actually it is a closed one. I have cut, so this surface and this surface feel the surface tension force, this one and this one. So that's why here and here both of this surface will feel the surface tension force F, and in the time of surface tension coefficient I have given that this L is the length of the fluid element. length of the fluid element means this fluid element feeling the surface tension force, as well as this fluid element also feeling the surface tension force. That's why here that L is being converted into L plus L, because I have considered this height of the fluid element like L, that is the height of the cylinder. That's why I have added these two terms L plus L. Understood or not? Now after crossing these three small derivation, these formulae was actually used to solve some numericals also, small numericals. So you have to memorize this formulae as well as with the derivation, small derivation is there. Now we are going to find out a next thing, that is capillary rise. Capillary rise. I think you people are well aware of this particular term. It is a term which actually is being taught in the class 9, 10, 11, like this. 11, 9, 10. So the capillary rise is an important phenomenon that is occurred due to surface tension. Do you know what is capillary rise? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody knows regarding capillary action. Very good. Interesting. And very funny also. So I think few of you know, but don't want to speak about, because there may be some mistake or there may be some wrong conception. So it may be, but it can be corrected. If anybody wants to say, he or she can. Nobody. So consider this is a trough. Okay. In chemistry lab, this kind of trough you people have seen, I think. Now if we insert a glass tube, why I am saying glass tube? Because you can see from outside. If it is a metallic tube, capillary rise also will be there, but you cannot see it from outside. That's why I am saying glass tube. If you insert it like this, vertically, mind it, vertically, hollow glass tube. It's a hollow glass tube. Considering the diameter of this glass tube is capital T. Okay, and the liquid what it is being stored, like I am considering it is water in the trough. So obviously the water will rise in the tube like this pattern, and the top surface will look like this. This is the water, and inside the trough also water. Okay, so why it is happening so? Anybody? Ekdam correct. Because here adhesive force and cohesive force both are acting, but here actually adhesion is more than cohesion in case of capillary rise. That is the main funda. Capillary rise के लिए adhesive force is more strong. That means the attraction force with the, suppose it is a glass tube, considering it is a glass tube. So the attraction force, the glass molecule of the water, it is more stronger. That's why you can see the top surface is having a kind of shape of concave shape. It is known as concave meniscus. Concave meniscus. Why it is taking such kind of shape, this kind of shape? Because here is glass, here is glass. So glass pulling it up, the molecule having a more strong attraction force with glass molecule. So this surface and this surface, they are not coming down, but the bottom surface, or the midpoint is not having any adhesive force with the glass part. That's why it is going down, but this part and this part, here and here, they are lying due to the adhesive force, and this point is not having any adhesive force with glass. That's why it is going down. understood. So why it is going to rise in the glass tube? Rising is occurring due to surface tension. That rising of fluid is occurring. It may occur, suppose this is also a kind of trough inside of which you have inserted a glass tube. Now this liquid I am considering like mercury. It's a heavy one. Mercury is symbol of Hg. Now is it rising will occur? No. A depression will take place like this. A convex surface will be generated. This kind of thing will occur. Yes, genuinely. Here adhesion is less than cohesion. Thank you. Because that mercury having high surface tension value if it comes in contact with any fluid. That's why you can see that while mercury drops on floor, you can see they do not spread over. They falls on floor and still they will maintain the spherical shape. Have you ever seen a drop of mercury fell on the floor? That point of time, obviously you have seen that mercury drops remain continue with its spherical shape. It will not spread over like water. Why this is happening? Because the surface tension of mercury is so high. While it is coming in contact with air, the surface tension of mercury with air, it is very high comparing with water. That's why they will not spread over. So the cohesive force is very dominating in case of mercury molecules. So that's why the depression will be there. In case of water, it is a rise of water will be there. The difference is this one and that one. Now what we are going to do over here? We are going to develop a expression by which you can find the value of this rise. Suppose this is the rise. I am expressing it by small h. How much rise will be there? It may be rise or it may be here, that is the depression. How much depression is there? That means from this surface, how much depression is there? Small h. It may be depression, it may be rise. That rise or depression always taken from the bottom surface of the meniscus. Here the top surface of the meniscus should be considered from the top surface of the liquid, and here the bottom surface of the meniscus from the top surface of the liquid taken as a rise of capillary. That is expressed here by small h. Now we are going to find out what will be the expression of small h. Okay. So surface tension, where it is acting over here. The surface tension will act here and as well as here. It is acting on surface. Why it is this direction? Because the shape is like this. So that's why here and here the direction of surface tension. It is a surface tension force. Surface tension force. I am representing it by T. T is a symbolically representation of surface tension force, not the surface tension coefficient. It is the surface tension force. Okay. The direction of surface tension force is here and here. Okay. Now consider this angle, the angle between this glass surface and the surface tension force. Consider this angle by theta. That means this is the glass surface. So this angle I am taking like theta. This is the glass surface. This is the glass surface. Okay. And already explained the diameter of this glass tube is nothing but capital T. Okay. So we know that sigma, that is the surface tension coefficient, it is nothing but the surface tension force. I am representing it by T, by the length of the fluid element. Now this is basically a kind of circular surface, isn't it? That top surface is having a shape of circle, isn't it? If you see from the top, it is nothing but a circular shape. So that length, fluid element length will be pi d, circumference, because the tube is a shape of circular shape, and we all know that liquid will take the shape of the container in which you are storing the liquid. So if the tube is a circular cross section, so the surface of the liquid, the top surface, it is also is in shape of a circle. So that will be the length of the fluid element, and that is the surface tension force, and that is the sigma. Understood? Now here, what we are going to do? We are going to balance the force. Balancing, just like the previous one, balancing the upward and downward force. Why? Because we are considering the equilibrium status. In equilibrium status, if it is a mechanical equilibrium, we can balance the force as well as we can balance the moment. Here is no rotational tendency, so no moment will be encountered, but we can balance the forces because it is in mechanical equilibrium. If it is a thermal equilibrium, then temperature will comes into picture. So that thing I am not considering over here. It is a mechanical equilibrium case. So upward force and downward force will be balanced. So what is the upward force? See, this is the T and this is the theta. So in this direction, T cos theta will be there, isn't it? That is the upward force. So I can consider T cos theta. This is the upward force. And downward force. See, this is the amount of, suppose this is the amount of water it is being stored. So what is the pressure is acting at this point? We are balancing the pressure sorry, over here, because in this location which pressure is acting? P atmospheric, isn't it? So which pressure is acting on this particular surface? This is the PATM acting over here. So the downward force, whatever acting on this particular point, that will be pressure force multiplied with the cross sectional area, isn't it? Because pressure is nothing but the force divided by area, and this force is nothing but pressure force. So pressure force you can find out if we multiply pressure generated on that particular area. Now on which area we are talking about? We are considering this circular area, the area of the tube. So area is pi d square by 4, that is the cross sectional area of the pipe or tube, and the pressure whatever it is acting, that is the atmospheric pressure due to this column of liquid, because that is the column of liquid raised upward. So that is the pressure will give you density into G into rise of fluid. This rho into G into H, that is a very childhood formula. Pressure is equals to rho into G into H. This H, what it is? The rise of water column. How much rise is there for the water column? Because that is the rise, H. And obviously density of the liquid should be taken, because the liquid is water. If it is, then it will be 1000. If it is different liquid, then that density will be placed over here. So at this particular point, the downward force which is acting, that is rho gh, that is the pressure multiplied with the cross section area of the pipe. So this is the area of pipe and this is the pressure acting for this rays of liquid of H column or H height. Now if we balance these two parts and just simplify to some extent, what it will give you? You know that T is nothing but pi d sigma. Substitute that value. T equals to pi d sigma. Just put it over here. T equals to pi d sigma cos theta. And just cancel from both the sides. Pi and one d will be cancelled. So finally we are getting an expression like small h we have to find out. You can do it with your own pen and copy. You can find out 4 sigma cos theta by rho into G into D will come. Just do the calculation with your own pen and copy. You can find this kind of expression will come. What does this mean? What does this mean, this expression? What it is giving you? it is giving a capillary rise. It is giving you capillary rise of liquid, and that capillary rise depends on three things you can see from here. That is surface tension, that is density of liquid, and that is diameter of the pipe. So if anybody asks you what are the parameters on which that capillary rise depends, you have to answer, sir, capillary rise depends on three factors. One, surface tension. Two, density of liquid. And three, diameter of pipe. These are the three things on which the capillary rise will depend. Obviously, if you increase the diameter d, then capillary rise will decrease. If you increase the density, that means from water to honey, if you go for, then H will decrease. And you can see that if you increase the density from water to mercury, how much it is? In case of water, it is 1000 kg per meter cube. In case of mercury, that is 13,600 kg per meter cube. You can see that how much it is bigger. If you increase the density that amount, then you can see that H is coming down from the free surface of the liquid. That is the free surface of the liquid. And you have increased the density to some extent, to that extent that H is going down. That means that H will coming, in case of mercury, it will give you a negative value. Why it is negative value? That negative value is representing that it is a depression, not a rise. So if you do the same thing, capillary rise for mercury, the only differentiating parameter, what will be there, you know? I am wiping this part. If you do the same thing for mercury, basically in case of mercury, it is a kind of convex shape. So surface tension will be here and here. That is the direction of surface tension. And here, which will be the theta? Theta always taken in case of anti-clockwise direction. Mind it, always taken in anti-clockwise direction, like this. This is the theta. Here also you can see in this diagram also theta is taken anti-clockwise. Not in this particular case. In future, if you study more, every point of time while you see that theta is being considered like an angle, always that theta will be considered like anti-clockwise direction. Mind it. So I have to consider this angle, which will be the this angle value 180 degree minus theta, isn't it? Why I am bothering about this angle? Because I have to take a part or a component of t along this direction. Because I have to do the balancing again. That means the upward force and downward force again I have to balance here. So here this is the free surface of the water, mercury, and this is a empty space. This is nothing is there. Nothing is there means atmospheric air is there. And this value is the H, small h. Understood? Here also I have to do the same thing. That means if we do the balancing, it will give you such kind of expression, sigma cos 180 degree minus theta into pi d. Why it is coming so? Just like the previous case, t cos theta will be taken over here in downward direction. Instead of t cos theta, here it will be t cos 180 degree minus theta will be taken, because it is acting downward. See this direction. So t is nothing but pi into d, sigma into pi into d. That sigma and pi d, they are coming for this t part, and cos 180 degree minus theta as it is copied. So that is the downward force. That is the expression of downward force. In case of capillary rise, it was upward force. Understood? In case of capillary depression, it is downward force, and it will be balanced with this upward force. Upward force is the same thing, that is the density of air, that is the rho into G into H, that is then pressure pressure, and it is will be multiplied by the same thing, area pi by 4 into d square. Because the weight of mercury that pressed down, weight of mercury that has been pressed down, एक्चुअली मर्क्यूरी के रहना चाहिए था यहाँ पे, तो ये जो फाकी एम्प्टी जो जोन है, दैट जोन ऑफ मर्क्यूरी एक्चुअली प्रेस्ड डाउन ड्यू टू द सरफेस टेंशन इफेक्ट. Okay, so that volume, if it is filled by the mercury, so that will be the pressure force of mercury in this particular zone, the empty zone. That amount of mercury pressure actually in the, if it is consider that amount of depression, what material is depressed? Mercury is depressed. So that's why the pressure force creating due to the depression of mercury, that is this thing, that is the pressure force, that is the pressure force due to the depressed mercury. So finally that equation, if you balance, only it will give you a minus sign or negative sign, because cos 180 degree minus theta, that is nothing but a minus cos theta. So finally it will give you a expression just like the previous one, only a minus will reflect over here. 4 sigma cos theta will be remain there, and rho into g into d also will be there. This minus sign only indicating that is it is a capillary depression, nothing else. So if you consider a liquid which is mercury, then you should consider with minus sign because it is a depression. If it is water, then you should consider a part of mercury, a part of minus sign, nothing else. Rest of the things are very same. Understood or not? So these two applications, that is they both of them are important in case of surface tension application, capillary and those bubble case. Is it clear or any confusion? Anybody? Then I should consider a different property which is known as bulk modulus. Have you described, have you discussed regarding bulk modulus or compressibility? Have you discussed before? Anybody? In the last class, have you discussed with bulk modulus? Nobody answering? Please, have you discussed with bulk modulus or not? Thank you. Please give some reply. So bulk modulus is generally expressed by kappa. It is look like K. That's why we use. Have I explained? So leaving bulk modulus. So if I have completed bulk modulus, so obviously I have explained the compressibility also. Compressibility is reciprocal of bulk modulus. Okay. And in case of thank you. In case of viscosity, I think I have missed to discuss about viscosity unit. Have I discussed regarding viscosity unit? I don't think I have missed that part. I have discussed regarding the viscosity, but unit of viscosity to somehow, basically I don't know how I missed it, but I missed it totally. So unit of viscosity I discussed today. Viscosity already I have discussed that viscosity is nothing but the resistance to flow. And by Newton's law of viscosity, already I have established that mu is nothing but tau du dy, where the tau is the amount of shear stress and du by dy is the rate of shear strength. That already I have explained. Now, if you try to find out that what will be the SI unit, what will be the SI unit? Anybody? SI unit of viscosity. That coefficient of viscosity, it is mu. It is also known as absolute viscosity. Absolute viscosity. This absolute viscosity का यूनिट क्या होगा SI में? ऊपर है shear stress, तो स्ट्रेस का यूनिट होता है न्यूटन पर मीटर स्क्वायर, और नीचे है du, that is the change in velocity and with respect to height. So what it will give you? Anybody? du, what is it is? Velocity. Velocity means in terms of unit meter per second, and dy, it is nothing but the length. Length always comes in terms of meter. So du by dy, what does it give? Produces du by dy, meter per second and meter. So meter will be cancelled, isn't it? So 1 by second, isn't it? So just put it over here, 1 by second. So as a result of that, I think it is looking more ugly. But if you write it like this, Newton swipe reciprocate that is Newton second, it is not minus, Newton second per meter square, it will look like this. Second will go at the numerator part and meter square will come into denominator part. So SI unit will be Newton second per meter square. Understood or not? And if we go for the CGS unit, the same thing. In case of CGS unit, we do not use CGS unit as so much, but you should know that unit. Newton will be replaced by dyne, second will be same, and it will be centimeter square. So dyne second per centimeter square will be the SI unit. And this dyne second per centimeter square, it is named as poise, but just by the name of the scientist. It is written like poise. Understood? So if in any problem poise is given as such viscosity, so you should understand that is a CGS unit of absolute viscosity. CGS unit of absolute viscosity. And I should write the conversion also, that 1 poise is equals to 1 by 10 Newton second per meter square. You can do the conversion. You should convert that dyne into Newton and centimeter square into meter square. Finally, it will give you this kind of result. 1 poise is equals to 1 by 10 Newton second per meter square. Anybody can tell me that dyne, how much dyne and Newton, how they are related? That's good. How it is coming? How it is coming? No, you know. Thank you. I think I can understand. You know, kg meter per second square. That is from Newton's law. F equals to m into a. That m is kg, a is meter per second square. So kg meter per second square, that is nothing but Newton. So if you convert that kg into gram, meter into centimeter, then it will be converted into dyne, nothing else. So that way mechanical engineers must be frequent with the unit conversions. Rest of the discipline, they actually suffer or they actually afraid of unit, but we do not afraid. If we afraid, then it will be more problematic. That's why unit से डरना मना है. So poise के साथ न्यूटन सेकंड पर मीटर स्क्वायर का रिलेशन ऐसा होता है, ठीक है. poise is the unit of absolute viscosity in CGS unit, and in case of SI unit it is Newton second per meter square. Okay, that is the unit. If I go for the dimensional term, dimensional parameter, do you know what is dimensional form? Basically it will be coming in a near future in the same syllabus. So dimensional form means I have to express this every parameter in terms of m, l and t. They are the basic unit. I think you know basic and derived units. Do you know what is basic unit and what is derived units? ये भी बचपन का कॉन्सेप्ट है बाबा. We do have 7 numbers of basic or primary units like mass, length, time. Obviously will be there. These are the 3 main, and rest 4 are, one is temperature, one is luminous intensity, one is amount of substance, that is mole, and one is current. Have you heard these things before? 7. Thank you, please. So out of those 7 basic units, we are mechanical engineers only consider regarding these 3. Rest of the things, it's a matter of concern of physicists, not of us. Okay, so we are going to express that mu in terms of MLT. Do you know how it is? How can be done? Don't know? First go for the stress. Tau. Stress is nothing but force by area. Okay. So force by area, force is nothing but just I have written kg meter per second square, isn't it? That is force. First wipe out the left out part. We all know that force is nothing but this thing. Now kg is mass, meter that is length, and second that is time, that is square, t square. A square means t square. They are the dimensional form. M, L, T, these are the dimensional form. Basically that part comes in your syllabus also. Dimensional form or dimensional form. Now if we express force, it can be expressed by, but do it. I am just giving you the hint. It will be a very interesting thing. Do it yourself. And area is nothing but meter square. That means L square. Just put all these things over there, so you can get the dimensional form of tau. Find it. Do it yourself. Instead of dimensional form of m L to the power minus 1 t to the power, exactly right. That is the dimensional form of tau. Now similarly find the dimensional form of du dy. Just before of that I have started by du by dy. That point of time I have shown you that unit will be 1 by second, 1 by time. That means dimensional form will be t to the power minus 1. Thank you. So put it over there and finally get the dimensional form of mu and tell me what will be it. Thank you. So dimensional form of mu will be m L to the power minus 1 t to the power minus 1. That is the dimensional form of mu. Like this way you can find every property, every parameter in terms of dimensional analysis. This is known as dimensional analysis. It will come in future also. By doing dimensional analysis we can express any parameter in terms of these three basic units, m, L, t. Okay, understood? Thank you. So this is the all about absolute viscosity, and one more viscosity is there, that is known as kinematic viscosity. What is that? Kinematic viscosity. Ignore the spelling mistake, if I am doing something. Kinematic viscosity generally expressed by nu, not mu. Nu. It is also Latin one, nu. It is look like quite similar to that. I cannot copy the Latin or Greek letters very good. Okay, you can see the true shape of nu from internet. It is look like quite like this. So nu, it is expressed by mu by rho. That means the absolute viscosity by density. It will give you the value of kinematic viscosity. And the kinematic viscosity unit in case of SI unit, you can find it very easily. SI में mu का unit बोला था Newton second per meter square, and mu is nothing but kg per meter cube. So obviously there is some relation among Newton and kg. Convert that Newton into kg meter per second square. If you do like this, finally SI unit will coming in terms of meter square per second. How it can be coming? You can do it with your own effort. Just convert that Newton into kg meter per second square, because always Newton can be explained by this expression. If you express the Newton like this, then you can cancel numerator and denominator to some extent, and it will give you the SI unit kg meter square per second. Obviously CGS unit you can get it from here, that is centimeter square per second, and this centimeter square per second is also known as Stoke. It is not a capital one, small. Stoke. It is also a unit, just like poise. In CGS, absolute viscosity unit also known as poise, and in CGS, kinematic viscosity also known as Stoke. Okay. And relation between Stoke, one Stoke is equals to 10 to the power minus 4 meter square per second. That is the relation among them. You can convert them easily, but without converting, if you want to keep it in your memory, then it will be this thing. These values actually needed when you are solving some numerical. Some mixed up units will be there or maybe there. Then you have to convert it into a same platform. Understood? Now tell me the dimensional form. Find it. Dimensional form of nu. Find it. Tell me anyone how it is coming. Thank you. L square to the power minus 1. That will be the dimensional form of kinematic viscosity. That is the whole part. That unit part is important for viscosity. Somehow I missed in the previous class. That's why I concluded over here. Okay.